We've had yet another name coming out with earnings, and that's Pidilite. The earnings were interesting. It does seem like at the moment that investors have bought into them. Uh, and Pidilite has moved back above the mark of 2,900 at the moment. Let's find out about the bull and the bear case that the street is making. We have Mahima who's joining us to give us the same. Mahima, over to you.
Right. So, a couple of cases where there are, contradicting views when it comes to Pidilite's earnings. Let's pull up the results first, the top line. In terms of the overall earnings were in line with the estimates, and it was mainly driven by volume. So volumes did grow on a high single digit, but the management has now changed its commentary. They have now said that the outlook wise, they cautiously remain optimistic on demand. First, they were saying that they were very positive when it came to demand, and they were stable. The demand was stable with respect to the Pidilite products, but now they've changed the outlook to cautiously optimistic on demand. Moving on to the volume growth, the overall volume growth stood at 9.7, which is 9 months YY, but the management had guided for a double-digit volume growth for FY25. 9 months, they're already at 9.7. So they've not yet reached to that double-digit mark. And even if they cross the 9% mark to a 10% mark, it is going to be in an early double-digit in terms of volume growth. Moving on to the next point, which is margins, gross margins. We saw an expansion of around 145 basis points YOY, but EBITDA margins were flat, and this is because competition is rising, and they had an increase in ad spends as well as the employee cost also went up for the company, which is why EBITDA margins came in flat. The next case for bull versus bear is the volumes in terms of segments. In terms of the B2B volumes, they surged over 22%, which kind of brought the overall growth for Pidilite, and this was on account of the industrial products for Pidilite, but the consumer and bazaar volumes just grew at 7.3%, which was kind of expected to be in double digits, but they were only 7% in growth. So, in terms of the segments performing, this is the bull versus bear case. Moving on to the brokerages. There are two different brokerages with starking different views. Goldman Sachs is maintained buy with a target price of 3560 versus that of Macquarie, which is maintained underperform on Pidilite, considering the current scenario and environment in which likes of Pidilite and Asian Paints and other painting companies are operating, with a target price of 2600. But the con call for Pidilite Industries is today at 4 o'clock. We'll get more details and commentary from the management coming in as to what's happening with respect to the demand scenario in the entire space.
Okay, Mahima, thank you so much for getting us all those updates. In the meantime, let's also address what's happening with Adani Energy Solutions in the earnings, and it does look like a strong set. Its net profit rising, as is the case for its top line as well. Its net profit has risen 73%. Its revenue has risen 28%. We're waiting for the fine prints, but we clearly are expecting an expansion in its EBITDA margins as well. Of course, there potentially could be a one-off in the profitability, which is why it's taken 3 steps ahead of revenue. But we're still waiting for the fine print, as I said. Adani Energy Solutions, of course, it's been a very eventful quarter, not just for Adani Energy, but a lot of the relative companies as well. So Adani Energy, Adani Green, as well as several of the other entities, which have in fact made many steps, taken many steps forward. And well, as you can see at the moment, Adani Energy is also reacting positively to the outcome of the third quarter that it has posted. Like I said, we'll keep an eye on these in more details as to what's really worked in favor of Adani Energy Solutions at the moment. But let me take up Pidilite with Vineet. Vineet, your view on Pidilite and what you would do with this one?
So, I would look to buy this stock on slightly lower levels. Typically a Pidilite is available cheap when the valuations are under stress. And it's a very a sticky business, and we expect recoveries to take place soon. And the management is obviously going to jiggle a little bit of strategy to, get that bump up back in the B2C volumes. So I think this would be a buy on a bad day kind of stock. So that's my view.